It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Hello to all. Welcome to Divas That Care Network. I am Joyce Benning, and I will be your host for this invigorating, robust lifestyle show. I would like to thank each one of our listeners that have tuned in live today and the ones that will be listening to the recording on the podcast. I am just so very grateful and thankful for each and every one of you. And you are all in for a very special show today, as I have with me my returning monthly diva, Kate Milligan. And her and I are going to chat about animal communication tips. Oh, am I excited for this show. So, Kate, could you please introduce yourself to our listeners today?
Yeah, thanks as always for having me. I'm always happy to be here. My name's Kate Nelligan, as you mentioned. I'm an equine partnered life and business coach and animal communicator and healer, speaker, and author. Very excited because we have some great books through the Divas That Care Network, Our Mothers, Our Daughters, and also Animal Prints on Our Souls. So excited to talk about our topic today with you, Joyce, as always.
Oh, I am so excited, Kate, and that you're so a part of Divas That Care. You're in the books and on my show, and you just contribute so much to Divas That Care for making the world a better place. And I want to thank you for that. That is just beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, as we start to talk about animal communication tips, with you being an animal communicator yourself and an equine partnered coach, how would you like to start with the listeners that are thinking, I really would like to figure out how to communicate with the animals? What are some of the, maybe start with the basic tips to help our listeners to understand better how they can communicate with the animals?
Yeah, and I was thinking we could have called today, it's just too long of a title, How to Be a Great Communicator. So I have a couple things that I've noticed over the last several years that have helped me. I've also trained with 5 different communicators, and I have friends that are, and I just notice how everyone's in their own uniqueness. And so I was thinking about what are some of the ways to shine a light on how to be great at this. So I'm excited to talk about that. And I guess we should also start with the context of what animal communication is for those that may not know. Essentially, you are in direct communication with an animal. It can be wildlife. It can be an animal that's passed. It can be an animal, all different domestic species as well. I usually read horses, but I often read cats and dogs as well, and I've read goats. And I really feel like what the animals would ask us to start with is being in our heart space. So the genuine heart, the confident heart is really where to start. And I know when I've trained people to do this work as well, they get into doubt or they get into their heads and they think about, will this work? Can I do it? Is the animal actually talking? Is that something else? And the headspace and the overthinking has never really gotten us anywhere helpful in life. So it's really being able to breathe in and out of the heart space. I always like to say breathe as though your heart has a mouth. And I got that from heart math work, but ultimately there's so much in that space of starting with the heart, being in the genuine intention of the heart space, because most likely if you're doing animal communication, you're doing it because you love animals or you love an animal that you really want to speak to. So start with that love, and that will actually help the success of it all, because the animals are living in the heart space. They're not thinking their ways through life the way most of the humans are.
Oh, how true that is. And come from the heart space. And feel that your heart has a mouth. I love that. I just love coming from the heart space because that's exactly where the animals are. They are not in that head mind game that us humans get into and aren't listening to that silent voice that comes from our heart. So, oh, how true that is. Yes, definitely come from the heart space.
And also the confidence, right? Like the heart is often a place where we can feel confident, right? When we think of confidence from the head space, it can be more of that ego, I'm really good at this, or I'm better than less than space in the head. But the heart really, if we come from that space of, I trust that I love animals, I know that I do, I know that I have some gifts, and we feel into the confidence of those, we can really have more success that way as well. Because the confidence, like the way I kind of look at it is I'm not attached to any outcome, and I always am surprised. And so I go into that like, okay, I'm going to do the best I can, and I trust that I am doing the best I can. And I always have, a policy, which is, and I say this to people who are really nervous when they start, have a money back guarantee, have a policy where if it doesn't land at all for someone and they don't feel like you were really connecting to their animal, have it be, there's zero strings attached, right? You're doing it because you want to help the animals. So you can refund someone if you need to. An animal communicator told me that when I was beginning. And I always tell others that, like, just take the pressure off that you have to get it right or perfect because, first of all, intuition is a weird, nebulous thing. And some days we are really, really accurate and really connected. And some days we are more tired or it's more challenging or we have other stuff going on and we're not as centered or grounded. So, the confidence that you can get it, or like you can allow yourself to get it wrong, will actually help you to get it right. So it's trusting that heart space, trusting that if you're coming from a place of love, you're not, it's hard to get it wrong. So I like to help people with the confidence piece too. But again, that's really connected, that genuine heart and the intention and coming from that place. And then the confidence connected to the heart, not connected to the mind, is really the foundation and I find that a lot of people feel like they're just nervous to begin because they have this high responsibility to get it right for the humans and their animals. And I did too. And then I said, you know what, I got to put all of that aside and stay in a confident energy because that will help create better results.
Yes. Oh, how true that is. And just stay connected to your heart, because to me that's where the confidence is going to build. What you start to feel in your heart that you're hearing, seeing, feeling from the animals, that's what they're trying to communicate with you. Let go of that mind thought and that, oh, I don't know if I can do this, or self-doubting yourself, I guess I would say, rather than having the confidence that will come from your heart, and just shut down the mind and just listen with your heart. Listen in the silence with your heart, and it is beautiful, the messages that can come through to you when you're in that space. Totally.
Because that's where the animals live, so they connect more on that channel or frequency. And our hearts do have ears. I love that you just mentioned that. We had a process. I really feel like my master's program in spiritual psychology set me up to be both a coach, a life coach, and an animal communicator, because our first quality, communication skill they call it seeing the loving essence, which that's really what I'm talking about. Like, see the loving essence of this animal's soul and this animal's being, and then you'll see a lot of what the animal needs to share. And we all get intuitive guidance differently. I'm clairaudient, so I hear what they're sharing. But the second thing after seeing the loving essence is heart-centered listening. And they taught us to really listen with the ears of our hearts. And you can set an intention. My intention is to listen with my heart, right? And as you said, stillness and silence, because the mind chatters and it's hard to track everything that goes on in the mind. And the mind has a lot of thoughts and opinions, right? And we don't necessarily need opinions when we're talking to animals. We need to receive. and allow them to come on to the channel that we're sitting on with them. And that's really a lot of what it is. It's getting into that same frequency which they live in. So whatever it takes for people to get there, I do a meditation when I start. I have a really clear intention. I have like a ritual. I have a sacred container. And I guess that would be the next tip, is like creating that ritual or sacred container, creating a time when you are more in your heart space for you, right? Like it may not be a time in between rushing between meetings. I know it's not for me. It's not first thing in the morning. I'm still waking up. It's definitely like in the evening. I'm much more in my heart space. So I do a lot of my readings then. But creating that sacred container, whatever it is, like it's like you're sending out a signal to the universe, okay, I'm ready to do this now. Like whether it's lighting a candle, having a place in which you work to connect with the animals. It's like I have a specific chair I use, and it's really that intention that then kind of allows the energy to meet you where you are. And ultimately, I also suggest really feeling grounded and centered. So there are times when I have a flexibility around when I do readings, because I'm like, if I'm not centered and grounded, I don't really want to be in that space, because it can influence things. So there's also ways to get grounded, right? We've talked in the past, like hugging trees, sitting on the ground, breathing in the air and the wind, hugging a horse. Like there's different ways to get grounded and feel centered to be able to do this work. And you can also just picture a grounding cord or tree branches coming out of your sit bones and dropping deep into the earth, and starting with that, because the animals are usually, unless they're going through trauma or illness, they're usually pretty grounded. And even if they are going through challenges, it's even better for you to be grounded so you can hold space for them. So create this sacred container with grounding would be another tip.
Oh, yes. Oh, I love all that. I love that. I love how you started with see the loving essence of the animal. And how true that is. Just seeing what their true self is and realizing that what a divine creature that they are and their worth in this universe. And I love that. And heart-centered listening and feeling grounded. Another thought that came to my mind was what my mare said. She said, just to breathe in to our smell. And I know I love to just lay my head on her and just breathe how she smells and just feel that. It's like it's calming me. It's like it's a grounding effect for me personally. And I love to do that. And that was one of her ways of becoming more heart-centered and finding the divine of the horses. And you can connect in so many different ways, and that is another way that she suggested, and I love it because she knows I do that a lot. So I guess she wanted to do an affirmation to me that what I'm doing is a good way to connect to her. So that was another thought that came to mind when you said about feeling grounded and centered, because it helps me to become centered, to be able to connect with her on another level.
Oh my gosh, I love that you just said that, because I, first of all, can picture you guys doing that. And then also, I just the other day, for the first time, I've always smelled horses, and we all, if we're horse people, we love the smell of horses. We talk about putting it in candles and bottling it. But the other day, for some reason, I just felt this desire to put my face into my horse's body and just smell her hair, and I burst into tears. And I was so surprised by it, but I needed it because I've been going through a lot the last few weeks, and I just really needed that release. And it was an immediate connection to my heart, because I had stuff that had to move in that heart space and some emotion there that just had to come out that I never would have thought my way out of, right? And so it was just so wonderful. And then I walked away and breathed and gathered myself. I didn't necessarily stay sobbing on her, because she's not that kind of horse. But she was like, yeah, good. Glad you got that from my smell, right? It was so cool. So I love that your mare just said that to you, because there's a lot I find sometimes people just look into their eyes and can start getting emotional too. And often when I'm coaching with people and I ask them, do you receive any messages from the horses? Because I really like to kind of bring animal communication into my coaching as well, not just in training equine coaches, but also in sessions with clients who may or may not have any horse experience. And it is like they can brush and slow down and be quiet or meditate intentionally or gaze into their eyes. And all of these processes can really help people access their heart and the heart's wisdom, the wisdom that can be shared between the two souls. So, yeah, it's so cool. I love that you said that because that just happened to me like a couple days ago.
Well, and as you said that about bursting into tears, that was the other thing she said, too. She said, just let the tears flow. So I'm like, oh, my goodness. It just warmed my heart because I'm like, she knows. I mean, she knows that we keep things, as women, we keep things bottled up a lot of times inside. And I feel she understands that and says, just let the tears flow. It's okay to release all that and let it out. And, yeah, we may have to go regather ourselves, but it's okay to just let it go. So that was just so fitting when you said that you burst out into tears, and she had just said, let the tears flow. So, oh, how beautiful.
I love it. I know. I feel like we often have connecting dots and stories when we talk. It's very cool. Yeah, it's just amazing, like how, like, and it was so quick. It was like, because also I think my head was near her heart center, and for those listening, like, who may not know, horses' hearts are 5 times the size of ours, and that, you know, we don't need to be right on top of them to feel that electromagnetic frequency, but when we are right on top of them, it can be even more potent. And yeah, I mean, my other mare just looked at me and she's like, you need to go cry. I'm like, okay. She like literally told me. And I went and sat down and, you know, did my own processing for a while. And then each one of them left their food, like walked across the pasture and came over and checked in on me and just stood there. One stood there for a while because she knew I needed a friend. And then the other one just was like, she just takes her eye, she pushes it like literally centimeters from my eye and goes, you're going to be okay. You know that, right? And I'm like, I know I'm going to be okay. You know, I went through a car accident and some other stuff. So there's just like stuff just, you know, like a breakup and even a friend dying. Like, it was just intense. So, like, I'm like, we have these cycles sometimes in life, right? And thank God for the animals because they can help us so much, you know? So,
oh, yes. They help us in so many ways, and they know us. They know exactly what's in our heart. Just like she told you, you need to go have a cry, and she knew that you needed to release. You needed, to me, that's a way of releasing some of that energy, some of that built up that's inside of you. And I just love how they read us and they know us, everything about us.
Yeah. Well, and that's, you know, it's so cool because we're talking about reading them, right? Animal communication, but they do completely read us. And that actually happens a lot in sessions when I work with people. The horse is often saying, hey, you know, my human's actually the one dealing with this issue, right? Like if I'm talking real stuff, or they always have messages for their humans. And it's always about the relationship. It's not just about, well, you know, my dog likes to do this and doesn't like this. And it's really about the relationship that we have with them, that human-animal bond. And I love that that's both in the coaching work that I do, because I really want people to have the horses read them, right? And they'll say often like, oh my gosh, she knows that I'm afraid, or she knows that I'm like not being authentic, or she knows that I've got, like, they'll say that from my goats or my horses, and they're being read. Or in animal communication, we think we're reading the animal, which we are, but they're actually saying, hey, my human also needs some help, right? So it's really being able to dance between those two worlds. And this leads me into my third tip, which is know your own uniqueness in this space of animal communication, because I know some people that really want to focus on behavioral, and then it's really about, and those are often the trainers, people who were dog trainers or horse trainers, like they want to do animal communication and really focus on behavioral changes and what that might look like. There are people who are really good at lost animals. I refer to them. I set a very strong intention years ago to be good at medical intuition, because I just feel like I want to know what's going on. So I'll feel in my body what an animal is going through briefly, just to gain the information. And I always do healing and energy work as part of the sessions, because I feel like just the communication is not enough. It's a little bit like with my coaching now. I used to coach, and we would stay in the space of emotional intelligence and planning and action and goals and all of that, right? But it became really clear that just talking on a phone, whether it would be in therapy or in coaching, it was not enough. And the energy needed to move for the change needing to happen. Just the awareness was no longer potent enough for me in the way I was coaching. Mm-hmm. So I started to do access consciousness clearing statements in all of my coaching calls, and I still to this day do them. And that's really where the movement happens. And then it's the same with the animals and the communication side of the work I do. I have to do the healing work. So, and a lot of horses always hold tension in different parts of their bodies. It's just the nature, I think, of being in a body that size and the lifestyles they have. So I'm always working on emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual levels and doing healing work there. And a lot of the work I do, I was taught by my mare before she passed. And then since she's passed, I feel her working with me. So, a lot of that healing modality is from an animal, working on animals, right? It's not me. Right. I'm a conduit to it or a bridge to it. But yeah, I think it's knowing your own unique gifts, because there's tons of different needs out there in the world, and we all can we're like puzzle pieces fitting into, the clients we're meant to serve, right? And connecting with them at the time we are. I love talking to animals on the other side, but lately people have been wanting me to help with them at end of life decisions, and I can do that, but it's not the most joyful for me, right? Because I find that sometimes people find me when they need the most, they have challenges and they think it's end of life, but it's not. And that's been really rewarding to see the animals turn around. So, sometimes we don't know our unique gifts until we fully step into this and things evolve, but just pay attention to how you work and what your own uniqueness is. So that way you can bring that to the world, right? And really share in that own unique way. Maybe it's you write more. Maybe it's you draw images and you see things and you share that with people. There's lots of different ways to work in this space, but it's important that we know our own uniqueness and that we're able to communicate that to potential clients.
Oh, yes, definitely. Because it kind of goes to what I have said so many times. We are each given a very special gift. And to recognize that and to use that, just like you with being able to help when on the not feeling well, or if they're having a physical problem, kind of more in their physical body of what's going on, your body kind of takes that on to let you know. So that is a beautiful gift, and how you are sharing it with others to help heal. So I love that, of knowing your own uniqueness, because I have said that so much. Just know your own gifts and be proud of them. Let them shine. Let your light shine with those gifts that you have been given, because they are unique to you and they are very beautiful. So I love that, knowing your own uniqueness. That is perfect.
Yeah, and it's just a way that we can then determine how we talk about what we do, which is sometimes hard to do. I think of myself sometimes more as an animal channel or intuitive than necessarily a communicator. But and I find it interesting in the horse world, everyone says, "Oh, you're a horse whisperer," and I'm like, yeah, Horses, in my experience, are pretty darn direct and sometimes loud. So I don't think there's a lot of whispering. Also, I don't really need to tell horses what to do, right? They've got it pretty darn figured out. So I don't really consider myself a whisperer. I love the word. It's beautiful. And I get it. Right. There's a movie and all that. But I'm much more of a horse listener, right? And if I ever have a hard time hearing my horses, I say one of two things. Okay, guys, get louder in a safe way, or I need to be way quieter, right? I need to be way more still and way more silent to, pick things up. Usually we're in conversation, like, there are days when I don't hear them, but usually we're in conversation the way I just, can pick up a phone and talk to my mom, and we just start talking. It's similar to how I am with the horses. They just I know what they're saying to me most of the time. But that's a cultivated daily relationship, right? Like, if you see your horse once a week or once a month, it's harder to necessarily have that, And so it's really been a daily practice for me of talking to them. And I don't, honestly, it's funny because I hear my horses way more than I hear my goats, but I also feel more like a horse most days. My goats are more, they communicate in energy, so it's different. I mean, the horses do too, but I can hear my horses, whereas the goats, I'm just they communicate much more in an energetic capacity. So that's been fun to play with that form of communication too. Yes.
Oh, definitely. Oh, that is so awesome. Well, Kate, this has gone so quickly, which I knew it would. I know we could talk and talk for hours on animal communication tips because there's so many experiences to share with our listeners, and I just loved everything you've shared. It's just been beautiful. So would you please share with the listeners how they can connect with you when they hear this and I want to connect with Kate Nelligan? What are the best ways for them to connect with you, Kate?
Yeah, thanks. My website is a great place to start, katenelligan.com. I have the Facebook group Awakening with Equines, and that's also Awakening with Equines. Kate Nelligan is my Facebook business page, so all of those are great. I feel like I'm doing a free Zoom on animal communication coming up soon with Equine Collaborative Initiative, ECI. I'm doing an in-person workshop in Colorado at the end of June on animal communication, but I also work virtually and in person, and certainly love to support horses, but all animals when needed. So, I'd be happy to talk to anyone, and I have some free resources I can send and stuff too, so.
Oh, thank you so much, Kate, for sharing that. That is just great that you have shared how they can all connect with you and that you're open to all animals. Thank you so much, Kate, for being my guest on Robust Lifestyles and sharing with our listeners. And I look forward to our chat in June when you share more of your knowledge with our listeners again. Thank you, and you and your horses have a magical day.
Thank you. You too, Joyce.
Thank you. And I would like to thank all of our listeners for listening to this incredible show with our amazing diva, Kate Nelligan. Please share this show with all your family and friends. Check out all the other hosts and their shows on divasthatcare.com. Have a magical day. And remember, see the loving essence of the animal. Stay heart-centered and just listen to them because they are speaking through your heart and from their heart too. So it is a beautiful experience. And be kind to all. Give your animals a great big extra hug and share all your love with them until we connect again on Robust Lifestyles. Stay strong and healthy.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.